So, good morning, and my name is Frances Rayner, and I'm Community Development Manager for Alive West Norfolk. And so I'm here today with Terry Whittaker, who is going to talk to us about why it's so important to get involved in the Active 150 Challenge this coming January. So the Active 150 Challenge is a challenge designed for all of us in the community to take part in, and it's all about us getting in our 150 minutes of physical activity a week, which is a government guidance that's sort of been out there for quite a long time. And and that 150 minutes can be made up of any sort of activity that you want to, and it's really the key is all about moving our bodies and just getting that little bit more active than what we are normally. So here today with me I've got Terry Whittaker. Terry's the founder of Inner Strength Coaching. Terry is local. He lives in West Norfolk. I think, do you live in around Downham Market, Terry?
I work there, but I'm based in Soham, so more Ely way.
Ah, right. So you're just out of the county.
Yeah, just out of the county.
Yeah,
Nice to see
not far away though, but I know from where I live that Terry kind of works quite locally, don't you? Work with quite a few people locally within Downham Market. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Terry's going to tell us a little bit more about himself in a moment, but one of the things that we're going to talk to Terry about this, or I'm going to talk to Terry about this morning, is all about, what other activities are there out there. We talk about walking, running, fitness classes. There's lots of mainstream stuff that I think, the majority of us are aware that we can do to get active. But I want to talk to you, Terry, about strength training and about the importance of keeping our bodies nice and strong, and how strength training can also support us with our health and our fitness journey as well, either as an addition to other things that we do, or even if that's the thing that you enjoy, as an individual, that's how you're going to keep your body fit and healthy. So Terry, I'd like to just, for your views, please, on why, what is strength training and why is it important to us as individuals?
Well, I mean, myself personally, I've always been into strength training. And, I've come across a lot of people who have never done strength training before. And the minute they start, they fall in love with it. There's just so many amazing benefits to it. It's just the feeling afterwards that you get is just, it's unexplainable. You have to just kind of do it. And I mean, that's not for everybody. Some people hate it, but the majority of people I've had, once they've started, they absolutely love it. And the benefits that come with it, I mean, we're looking at a lot of things. It burns more fat. I mean, I can't tell you how many more times I've seen, or how many times I've walked into a gym and I've seen people running on the treadmill for an hour. And I think that's the misconception about weight training, is that everybody associates weight training with getting big or, building large quantities of muscle, which is actually really difficult to do. And a lot of it comes down to nutrition. It comes, down to your calorie intake. But yeah, I mean, if we look at just the fundamentals of weight training, we're looking at development of strength. You will be getting that lean muscle mass. And our bodies, we burn more calories with the more lean muscle we have. So obviously our bodies burn more with the more, muscle mass we have as to fat. So therefore, containing more lean muscle, we're going to burn more calories throughout the day. So when we're talking about an overall weight loss, yeah, sure, you'll burn more calories doing cardiovascular training, but we're talking about more the long-term effect, developing that lean muscle mass. It's going to help with your overall weight loss journey. So yes, definitely, I think, when it comes to weight loss, strength training is probably one of the best things. Although we associate cardio with weight loss, strength training is definitely one of the big fundamentals of weight loss. I mean, we're looking at a whole list of, possible aspects that it can attribute to. So if we look at weight training, a lot of my clients have, well, not a lot, but a few of them have, some mental health issues. And just the stress relief that you can get from weight training is astonishing. People can feel a lot more relaxed. They feel a lot more body conscious. Well, I mean, not body conscious, but more have a better self-esteem of themselves. And that comes so quickly. So I would say that's more the short-term effect, is that instant feeling, feeling good, that feeling of having a good well-being. I mean, the longer-term effects, we're looking at, anti-aging benefits, or aging well, should I say. We're looking at having a positive mood throughout the day, and then ultimately burning more fat. So it's living that healthier lifestyle. And I mean, that incorporates with cardio training, with stretching and flexibility. If you're getting that whole fundamental of all those training aspects. So you're getting that cardio in. The weight training, obviously, especially women when they hit their 40s as such, you'll notice their metabolic rate starts slowing down. And then obviously calories become a big issue. You know, they start holding on to unwanted weight. And this is where weight training can obviously help. You know, this will speed up your metabolic rate. When we're looking at men, you know, their testosterone levels start to drop. That's when, you know, muscles start to deteriorate. But doing these big lifts like squats, when we're talking about squats, I think everyone associates heavy. We're not talking about going as heavy as you can. Obviously, we're still wanting to focus on movement patterns, focusing on each person's different biomechanics. But from there, at least, we know that we can increase the anabolic levels. Okay, so with those exercises, there's a whole list of you know, positive aspects, but I don't want to kind of go too deep into that at the moment because most people wouldn't really understand all of that as such. What I wanted to just say is it's more just about the feeling good. All right, the weight training, just feeling good about it. The feeling you get is just amazing, and I know that comes from me with a lot of passion because I've always been into it, and I always try to associate weight training into someone's routine. If they really hate it, we'll try and incorporate it little steps at a time. But yeah, weight training for me is definitely has to be a fundamental key point in anyone's training program.
Yeah, that I absolutely agree. And I think we always associate, like you were saying, you know, you go out for a long walk or you go out for a run, you know, there's so many benefits of getting out in the fresh air and doing all of those things, isn't there? But actually having a strong, you know, whether people associate it with a strong core or their arms feel stronger, you know, those things can have really uplifting benefits, can't they, to you mentally as well as physically as well.
And I mean, that's the thing about weight training. I mean, I've never done core much my whole life, like in terms of abdominals. We always associate core with abdominal exercises. But your core strength is going to come from your overall strength. You know, it's from holding yourself up, it's supporting your body weight, it's having that stability, sense of gravity. I think core is a lot more, you know, complex than just abdominals. And I think this is where strength training really improves everyone's core strength. Which is another reason why I suggest that everybody gets into some sort of routine regarding weight training or any sort of resistance training. As you said, obviously we will be looking at some alternatives to that, especially in today's situation where, you know, not everyone has access to go to a gym. But yeah, there's many ways, things we can do from home as well. We can talk about tempo training, using small things like resistance band. It's just getting that little bit of resistance to help support our bone structure as well, and just moving through the exercises accordingly.
Yeah. So we talk, you know, some of the things you've talked there, weight training. So it's not always necessary, is it, to have weights? You know, if people are thinking, oh God, I've got to go out and buy a set of weights or kettlebells or hand weights or whatever, that's not always necessary, is it? Because you can use your own body weight.
Yeah. I mean, body weight training has been around for years. I mean, if you look at athletes, gymnasts, for example, I don't know if you've seen their body type as such, but they're in incredible condition. I mean, we're talking a low body fat percentage. But I mean, obviously everything comes down to having a balanced diet as well. So when it comes to working out, we have to incorporate them together. They don't work without one another. So with a good training program, you have to have a balanced diet. And when I say balanced diet, I'm not one of those sort of coaches that says you have to eat this, but it's just having balance, you know, it's having variety. It's making sure you are getting enough vitamins and minerals in. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you can't go enjoy, you know, whatever you like to drink, your gin and tonic on the evenings, or having a glass of red wine. It's not saying you can't do that. It's just being smart about everything. And yeah, so when we're going back to the weight training as such, it's just adding a little bit of resistance. Body weight training has been around for years. It was probably obviously one of the first sort of trainings that came about. When we're talking about bodyweight training, I mean, we think about squats, push-ups, you know, burpees, jumping jacks, anything that's going to get the heart rate up. But then when we can kind of, you know, over time, you do 10 squats, maybe your legs are quite sore. You know, eventually you can do 50, and you can see that's where the progression is incorporated. But then eventually you can't be doing 200 squats at a time because it's just going to keep going up and up. So this is where we can incorporate tempo training, or, you know, more of an isometric and plyometric movement. Okay, so your isometric will be holding your muscle groups under tension for a longer period of time, where your plyometrics will be more of an explosive, so adding that extra force like a jump. Okay, so lots of things like that can obviously associate with better muscle development. When we're talking about the tempo training, that'll be controlling the repetition. So focusing on the eccentric variations. On your way down, for example, on the squat, it'll be starting with a 2-2 tempo. So it'll be counting to 2, 1, 2, hold for 2, and then 1, 2 back up. Just that little bit of time and attention will kind of create that resistance that, you know, you can kind of get from weight training. Obviously not to that degree. It would always be better to have some sort of resistance. But if you don't have resistance, you don't need it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that if you don't have weight, you don't need them to keep active. You don't need them to build muscle. You can still build and maintain your muscle development through body weight training. It's just being smart about it. Yeah. I mean, resistance bands have been around. You can get a cheap pair on Amazon for about £30. That just adds a bit of resistance once again, and you can still use that with tempo training.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about one of the benefits about lean muscle being really good for fat burning. You know, so if one of your goals is weight loss, that's you know, a really key thing. What do you think? Can you give me some examples of some of the longer term benefits of us, you know, keeping our bodies, our muscles strong, and, you know, keeping our tissue as lean as possible? What are some of the longer term benefits for us?
There's always that saying, you know, fitness isn't just a gym or something, it's a lifestyle. And I think that is what it comes down to. You know, we talk about short-term, long-term benefits or effects. I mean, the short-term benefits of doing it come very quickly. So those that have never worked out before will notice, you know, a lean muscle development quite early on. Mm-hmm. But from there, things do slow down, but then we maintain it. As we age, things change, you know, our hormones change. But that's why, you know, things like weight training can help with that. It helps with diabetes in the long term. It can help control our metabolic rate the whole way through, as I stated earlier. So I think it's more about not just doing it as a once-off thing to try and get to a certain shape or, you know, ideal weight. I think it needs to become a part of your lifestyle. You need to find that passion to keep going from day to day. I mean, the whole Christmas period, I've probably been out for about a week. And for me, I know that's good. All right, that recovery time to actually just be away from it is really good, but we don't want to fall off that wagon. We want to kind of find that motivation to keep going the whole time. So when we talk about long-term effects, I think we just have to just keep it going. We can't have it just a once-off sort of routine for a month and then, oh, okay, I'm looking good now, and let's stop, because your body's not meant to be doing that. We're meant to be working out. We're meant to be walking. We're meant to be moving around. We burn so many calories in a day, and I think this is where, you know, people get the misconception of, you know, a run equals so many calories. We already, just doing nothing, already burn so many calories. You know, for myself, for example, if I was doing nothing in the day, I would already be burning over 2,000 calories. That's just to survive. Okay, so obviously anything added we do is just extra.
Yeah.
Okay, this is why if you build it into, you know, your lifestyle, you build those habits as we were talking about earlier. I think it's really important to incorporate those habits, because if we use it as just motivation, as I said earlier, don't get me wrong, I do think motivation is fantastic. I think if you've got it, it's going to push you a long way. But I always kind of associate motivation with a flame. Okay, once it's out, it's gone. You've got nothing to drive you forward. So what we need to kind of look at is starting small, incorporating a little bit of habits. So let's say we take out 5 minutes in a day, you know, to just put out a mat in the corner, start with a few push-ups. That's your day done. All right, next day, okay, let's try do some squats involved, and then we just gradually increase. And I think this will be a starting point to building your own program as well. It's just starting small. It's also finding what you love, because we all have different passions. I've always been into my weight training. I love it, but some people might not find that enthusiasm from it. So it's going to be a lot harder for them to keep going. And ultimately, if your goal is just health and fitness, if you're not looking to become, you know, next top model or something, or fitness professional, you know, maybe playing sport is for you. It means getting a group of friends, going out on the weekends, you know, playing a game of rugby or football. It's keeping you active. That's what we're looking at doing. Find what you enjoy. Get a friend. We all need some sort of accountability. So sometimes having a friend to work with us gives us that little bit of a push. When we really don't feel like it, they're going to message us, hey, let's go for that walk. We go for that walk. And I think that's where it starts. It just starts small and picking up from there.
Yeah. Really, really good points there. I think you know, you said about our bodies are made to move. That was one of the points that you just made. And I think, you know, if you think back, you know, if you go back through generations, you know, people used to get their physical activity in a number of ways that we just don't get anymore, do we? You know, sort of, you know, modern technology has meant, you know, hoovering, you know, so even if it's down to the housework that we do, you know, my grandma would have been, you know, with a brush and beaten the carpets, and, you know, so her strength would have been built, wouldn't it, through, you know, that physical activity that she would have had to have done. And all the modern appliances that we have and cars and everything has meant that we have become so much more sedentary. And yes, it's important that we pick up on, we walk a bit more, you know, if we like to run, that's fine, go and play a sport, that's fine, but that whole building strength can be a framework, can't it, to support, you know, those other activities that you want to do.
Yeah.
I think as an example for myself, and, you know, I run a lot, and, you know, throughout the last year, I've incorporated a strength program, which I've, you know, I started off quite small. Now it's something I've got into a regular habit, but my running has become so much easier because of the strength training that I do. And I'm sure you will concur with that, Terry, and agree.
Yeah, no, we have to, I mean, that's what life's about. Life is about changing. And life has escalated. I mean, we've in a modern era now where, you know, we've got PlayStations around, things that I didn't really have growing up. Well, I mean, they were around, but not towards me. So my childhood was running around. You know, my childhood was being active. Nowadays, it's not the same. Kids are introduced into a world of technology, you know, internet, TV, and I think we get sucked into that. And I think this is where it comes down to, you know, an upbringing where we have to kind of get them associated with fitness at a young age. You know, getting into the movement. I know schools offer for that and stuff. I think it's slightly different, yeah, compared to, you know, back home in South Africa where, you know, it's all about sport. It's all about rugby. You know, that's what we live for. We don't really live for the school side of it. We do that because we have to, but we look forward to becoming the next SA rugby player. Obviously, that's not the whole point. The point is, I think that when I was a kid, we were a lot more active than I see kids nowadays. And yeah, there's definitely an increase in obesity around. We can't deny that. And, you know, that's got nothing to do with in terms of being healthy. I mean, there's no saying, well, I need to be this certain weight to be healthy. Yes, there are certain weight categories, but it's all about how you feel as well, what makes you feel confident. It's knowing that you can walk up the stairs feeling good. I can't tell you enough how I mean, I don't want to say any names or anything, but I have obviously had clients who really struggle. And it's sad to see, because not just for me to see them really battling, but the fact that I can see it in their own eyes, you know, that's the reason they've come to me, is they're struggling. They can see that they need help. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that once we start getting those habits involved, and it's just that start, we just need to start. I can't tell you now, just set a date, put it in your diary and say, today I'm going to change my life. I'm going to start. And that's when you just get up, do it. You set that time allocation in your diary and you make sure you go do it. And from there, it gets so much easier. I mean, as I said to you earlier, I wasn't sure if we were on yet, but there are three types of people in this world that I've kind of noticed. Myself, I think you as well would fall under this category. You love fitness, whether it be running, whether it be training in the gym. Let's be honest, that anything you do fitness related, they're going to complement each other. So whether you're a runner or a lifter, if you incorporate them both, they're only going to complement each other. Even if you do yoga, it's going to work with your flexibility. So I think if you're doing a fitness regime, you should be trying to cover all those bases. But obviously as a starting point, I think you need to start small. You did mention earlier, you know, alternatives to walking, running, you know, those are the starting points if we look at it. But yeah, definitely have to incorporate that strength training. I think the benefits that come with it. I mean, if I could guarantee you an exercise that would give you all those benefits, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Yeah.
You know, you said how it's complemented your running. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. It improves your muscle endurance. You know, so therefore your running is improved. And I think that's the biggest thing, is finding a goal, finding a passion. A lot of people, when you ask them why they want to lose weight, they give you little snip answers of, I'm feeling a bit chubby, or this. There's no real deeper meaning. Some people you have to dig deep. You have to find that passion inside. You know, I had one client, she wants to lose weight. You've got to kind of ask that question to yourself even, but why do you want to lose weight? What's the importance of that? You know, because once you find that, you have that desire to build up. You have that passion to keep going. So let's say one of my clients who had a wedding coming up, well, not herself, but her daughter, and she wanted to look good. So you can use that as a source of motivation to keep you going. So even on those days when you really don't feel like, you know, working out or going for that run, you just do it anyway. And then from there, just incorporate into your daily habits. And, you know, from there, you just grow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes it is that focus. I mean, the active 150 challenge, you know, it's not meant to be hard, it's not meant to be difficult, but we set this up really to maybe just give people that little bit of focus for January. But
Yeah.
we hope it will go way beyond January. You know, if we can get a few people from the group that join us who are going to say, actually, you know, I've really enjoyed this, and I've seen, you know, I feel so much better mentally as well as physically, and then carry on. So whilst we're doing the challenge in January, you know, we want to set the challenge for life, I suppose. You know, it's a big old, you know, tall order maybe, but that's really what we're hoping to achieve, is to get
That's
some,
the
that's our goal, get some people out there who's got a new habit for life. Very quickly, Terry, how can people make themselves a strength routine? Because obviously if they're doing it on their own, I mean, the best thing is if they were to join, you know, a personal trainer, an online coach, or someone to learn how to do it properly. You know, we don't want to encourage people to go out and get injured or whatever and do things that they don't understand, but I'm sure there's a few things that you could, you know, maybe tips you can give us on how we could set a little routine for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at creating a routine for ourselves, I think we have to first establish where we're at. You know, we have to kind of find out what our goals are. Are we wanting to lose a bit of weight? Are we trying to build a little bit of muscle? We have to jot down what equipment we do have. And I think the most important thing is when we're talking about injuries and, you know, things that could occur while doing a physical activity, exercise and such, as weightlifting, you know, incorrect squats, which I've seen a lot. So obviously it's focusing on biomechanics in terms of, you know, having your correct squat, but having no one there to correct you or show you how is quite difficult. And, you know, in that case, if you're new to training, that's where a trainer can help. But remember, there's lots of stuff out there. You can go onto the internet now and search for anything. I would definitely just go onto YouTube, type in how to squat. They'll give you some basic tips how to do that. Obviously, it's not going to be the same, but at least you'll have an idea of how to do it. And let's be honest, if you're new to training, you're not going to go stacking weights onto a bar. You're not going to be doing heavy weights. You're going to start off with a nice light resistance. So your chances of injury aren't going to be that high. I would say just keep everything nice and slow, focus on your movement patterns. My biggest thing that I like to work on is that mind to muscle connection. Okay, so it's really trying to activate the muscle groups you're trying to. Understand which muscle groups you're working when doing an exercise. If you're doing a squat, know why you're doing a squat. What are the benefits of that squat? Okay, I'm squatting because I want to develop my glutes, my quads, all the surrounding muscle groups. But at the same time, you know, I want to get my heart rate up. I want to improve my metabolic conditioning. So I'm going to incorporate this, but I'm going to start off small. I would say start off with maybe about 3 exercises. Don't give yourself too much. Rather give yourself a little bit too little, because if you write yourself a program and you can't finish it, it's going to leave you with a bit of self-doubt, and you know, you might not feel like you can keep going. But this is why I say start off small and from there grow. You know, for your first week, I would say have a pen and paper with you. Make a list of exercises, go through the list of exercises, find what you enjoy the most and start with those. Because if we do exercises that we hate, for example, burpees, if I made you do burpees, you're going to get over that very quickly, you know. But if we looked at things that you might enjoy, you know, make it fun. It doesn't have to always be a mission. You don't always have to choose exercises that you hate. Start off small, find the things you enjoy doing, because that's going to at least build those habits, incorporate that into your regime. And I think that's the best thing to do, is to just start off with what you love.
Yeah. I think that's the key throughout, Terry, isn't it? It's, you've got to find something you enjoy. And even though today we're talking about strength training, because I wanted to talk about something specific, you know, strength training, you might be listening to this thinking, oh, I'm not really sure that's for me. I'm not really sure that's what I want to do. That's fine, you know, but it's about finding something, because if you find something you love and enjoy, you're more likely to keep going with it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, the strength training is good. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody should be doing strength training. If you come to me and you train with me, I'm going to make you do strength training. Okay, in some way, in some form. Remember, there's many different kinds of strength training. It doesn't mean you have to be doing weights. As we said earlier, strength training will just come down to some sort of resistance. You know, if you prefer running, if that's your sport, fine, run 500 meters, do 50 jump squats.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Just add in that little bit of resistance, keep that heart rate up, keep those muscles working.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to go through a vigorous program of doing, you know, a whole set of legs. But the thing is, I think our view on health and fitness has changed over the years. I mean, I know mine has. I look back a few years ago where my definition of health and fitness was, you know, looking at people like Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, who were massive bodybuilders. And that was my ideal fitness. Although now I look back and I'm like, that's not health and fitness. You know, those guys lifting those heavy weights and stuff, a lot of it, it's not always healthy. So when we talk about it as an individual basis, I think we have to kind of really assess what we want. Are we wanting to be a bit more healthier? Are we wanting to build a bit of lean muscle? And I think if we are wanting to look at, you know, developing that lean muscle mass, we do have to incorporate weight training. So yes, I'm glad you did bring up weight training, because weight training is definitely where I work with everyone. That is my expertise. It's where I like to work with people. So, you know, it's finding everyone's range of motion, making sure that they can perform the movement correctly. And then obviously from there, focus on their progression. But yeah, for those getting started, I think weight training it's great, but only if you have that motivation to keep going, if you enjoy it. Otherwise, I don't think weight training is always a must in the beginning. I think the initial period is just getting started. It's getting more active, because somebody who has started to run, they're already into their fitness now. All they have to do is progress. They can start adding little things along the way. They don't have to just jump into a vigorous training program. Start off small, judge your body, see how your body, you know, develops along with the training program you're on. Because my program is not going to work for anyone else. And I think this is where an individual program is always good, because it kind of works with that person. And, you know, not when I say the person, I don't just mean their body, but more with their mentality. And I think that's the biggest thing with strength training, is rather than just the physical benefits, it's that mental aspect behind it. One of my clients who really did suffer with, you know, mental health and stuff, I can't tell you how much weight training has helped her mentally, not just physically, but mentally more than anything. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just the feeling you get, you know. So obviously all other benefits like a positive mood, your better sleep, you know, increased metabolic rates, increased testosterone levels in men. Yeah, there's loads of things that I could read out to you, but I think it's more just the healthier lifestyle of it. It's living that lifestyle, it's living fitness, it's getting that to be a part of your life. As we said, living fitness, eh, Francis?
Yeah, I love that. That's a really great phrase. And I think, you know, that's our goal here, really, is Alive, is to try and get people to live that, and to see that, you know, fitness it has to be part of your everyday lifestyle, and not just, you know, your New Year's resolution that might last for 6 weeks and then you're back to where you started before. So, you know, anyway, Terry, how can people find you? You know, if people have listened to us today and they like what you're talking about and want to find out more about what you can offer them, how can that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the moment, I've moved everything virtual, obviously, with our current sort of circumstances. But yeah, anyone can find me on my Inner Strength Coach page on Facebook. I'm busy doing a new website, so I won't give out any details to my website at the moment. But yeah, if you go into Facebook and type in Inner Strength Coach, there you'll find my page. A lot of my page at the moment is based along my OPT, which is my optimum performance training. Okay, so the optimum performance training is pretty much health and fitness to me. Okay, so that's my variation of health and fitness. It's incorporating weight training, obviously, okay, but it's also working on metabolic conditioning, endurance training, and it's just an incorporation of everything, training at a high intensity, working through fatigue. So yeah, it is quite intense, obviously, but it's focusing on all those starting levels. And then at the same time, we'll just go through, there's actually a closed Facebook group on there if you guys want to join. It is free to anyone. That group is a community. Okay, so what I've been trying to do over this year is building a community of fitness. Okay, because I feel like a community is like a bridge. Okay, without a community, we struggle to get along. But if we've got people supporting us the whole way through, it's a lot easier for someone's challenge. If we've got, for example, some lady by the name of, give me a name, Francis.
Well, Francis, why not me?
Okay, Francis is overweight. She's very scared of, you know, going out in the public. She's intimidated from training, but now she's on a group. She sees a whole lot of other people in the same situation. You know, maybe she gets the confidence to share a little bit of her progress, and people are there supporting her. So yeah, we only accept any positive, you know, only positive comments, only positive support. Anything other than that won't be tolerated. So yeah, by building that community, what I'm trying to do is make sure that everyone in the area has got a passion, we've got that support, that drive behind them to keep them going. Because that's where, you know, the motivation is going to kick in as well. It's going to help you keep you motivated. And it also kind of sets some sort of accountability. If you've said you're going to do this, you kind of have to do it now, because you've said to everyone to do it. going to be asking you, how's it going? So yeah, that's all about me at the moment. But yeah, if you would like to follow, get a bit of, you know, inspiration as such, definitely hop on my page and you'll find a bit there.
Yeah, that's great. I know a few people that are involved with you in your groups, Terry. So, you know, I hear some really positive things about what Terry is doing and how he's supporting people. So yeah, go along and have a look at what Terry's up to, and you know, and see if that's for you. Look, Terry, thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's been a real pleasure, and I've really enjoyed listening to you know, your thoughts and on the benefits of strength training, adding that to our routines. Some great tips in there for us to follow as well. So thank you for that. And yeah, we'll see you again.
All right, Francis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.